Good morning, seventh grade. It is May 6th. It's a Wednesday, and we are continuing on with lesson 111. We're skipping investigation. Um, is it investigation 11? I think that's it. We're skipping investigation 11, yeah, and moving on to lesson 111. Dividing in scientific notation. All right, well, let's review before we start diving into dividing. Let's review our rules for multiplying in scientific notation. So what we do is we regroup our factors here, and we multiply the 6 and the 2 in this particular example. The two front factors are multiplied. 6 times 2 gives me 12. And then what do I do with the exponents? Well, I add them. And so I add the exponents 5 plus 2 and get 7. And then my last step is to always check and see if my decimal point is in the correct location. And in this case, it is not. It's invisible, which means it's after the 2 right here. And so it has to be after the first non-zero digit. And so I'm going to put it right here after the 1, 1.2 times 10. Now I've got to figure out what my power is going to be because it's going to change. I'm rewriting the number. Have the same value, but it's going to have a different decimal location. And so it's going to have a different power of the 10. Now, the decimal point has gone to the left one place. And so I've made this number smaller by a power of 10. And so that means I'm going to have to add a power of 10 to the exponential term. And so it's going to become 10 to the 8th. So I just transferred my 10. I took it away from the front factor and added it to the back factor. It was a transfer from the front end to the back end. Now, let's go ahead and look at division with scientific notation. It's going to be the exact opposite to operations than what we did over here with multiplication. So what I do normally with a division problem like this is I'm going to go ahead and just split it down the middle. And I'm going to do first the division on the left side. Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put that first, times 10. Now guess what I'm going to do with my exponents? Instead of adding them like I did when I multiplied my terms, I'm going to subtract them. Starting at the top, 5 minus 2 is 3. Now, I noticed on Khan Academy, some of you are putting your answer in parentheses. You don't put your answer in parentheses. The only time we see parentheses is when we are multiplying two terms in scientific notation. Parentheses is not ever in just the plain answer, so it's not necessary. You may be confusing it with expanded notation, which we did at the beginning of the year, but with scientific notation, the only time you need parentheses is when you are indicating multiplication. Let's move on now and try another one. Let's split it down the middle. 3 divided by 6. Well, we know that that reduces to 1/2, but in scientific notation, my answer has to be in decimal form, and 1/2 is 0.5. So let's write that down. 0.5 times 10. Now this is a little bit trickier. I start at the top. My exponent is 3 minus 6. Well, 3 minus 6 is -3. And so I have a -3 here for my exponent in my exponential term. Now, is my decimal point in the correct location? Can I have a 0 here? The answer is no, I cannot. This number has to be a 1 through 9. So I'm going to have to move it over to the right this time. Move it over to the right. So I'm going to move it over to the right and make it a 5 because the decimal point then becomes to the right of the 5 times 10. Now let's be careful here. We added a 10 to the front end of the number, and so we're going to have to take it away from the back end. And so I'm going to have to subtract 1 here. So once again, I made the number larger in the front. I added a 10 to the front part of the number, so I have to take it away from the back end. We have a transfer, okay? We add it to the front, we take it away from the back. -3 minus 1 is, careful, -4. That's the same thing as adding a -3 and a -1. I get -4, and I have my final answer of 5 times 10 to the -4. Now let's go to this one over here and let's do the same thing. Let's split it down the middle, and I have 2/8 is 1/4. And so what is 1/4 as a decimal number? You know what that is. It's 0.25 times 10. Now let's be careful here. It starts at the top at -2, and I'm subtracting a -8. All right, subtracting a negative means adding its opposite. So we get a plus plus here. What is a -2 plus a +8? A +6. Last step, check my decimal placement. It is not right. This cannot be a 0. It has to be a 1 through 9. So let's move the decimal point to the right one place and make it 2.5 times 10. Now what have I done? I've added a 10 on the front end. So to keep it the same number, I'm going to have to take a 10 away from the back end. And so 6 minus 1 is 5. Let's think about that again. It went from 0.25 to 2.5. I added a 10, take away a 10 to keep it the same number. We're just transferring the 10 from the back to the front, taking it away from the back and adding it to the front. Okay, now go ahead and get your homework paper out. We're going to go ahead and do 2 homework lessons, not 2 homework lessons, whoa, 2 homework problems together. Okay, so here we go. All righty, now it's Wednesday, so today we have a test tomorrow, so today's homework is not due until Monday. Today's homework is not due until Monday. Khan Academy is due Friday night. Don't forget about that. And Thursday we have a test. It's going to be a multiple choice test that you're going to take in LMS. And I'm going to go ahead and do a short video to guide you through how you're going to do that, okay? So we'll talk about that tomorrow on the video. All righty, number 23. Number 23. Okay, let's write it down. Letter A, 3.6 times 10 to the 8th divided by 6 times 10 to the 6th. All right, now let's go ahead and split it in half. And we're first going to do our division, 3.6 divided by 6. Well, go ahead and do that division carefully. 6 into 3.6. Don't let that decimal point cause you to make an error here. My answer here is going to be 0.6. And so I'm going to get 0.6 times 10. Now let's look at the exponents here. What do I do with them? I start at the top and subtract. 8 minus 6 is 2. And so I have an answer of 0.6 times 10 squared. Is that in proper scientific notation? No, it is not. The decimal point has to be to the right of a non-zero digit, 1 through 9. So I'm going to have to move the decimal point to the right one place. So I'm going to move it to the right one place, and it's going to become a 6. Now, I added a 10 to the front, so I'm going to have to take it away from the back. And 2 minus 1 is 1. And now my final answer is 6 times 10 to the first power, which is 60, but we write it in scientific notation. All right, let's go to your B problem. Go ahead and write that one down. 3.6 times 10 to the negative 8 divided by 1.2 times 10 to the negative 6. And let's be real careful here about our division of our two decimal numbers here. My divisor is 1.2. My dividend is 3.6. I've got to move my decimal point over and over and up. 12 into 36 goes 3 times. So I end up with 3 times 10. Okay, now let's be real careful here. Look what I have. Negative 8 minus negative 6. Let's write that. Negative 8 minus negative 6. Okay. Subtracting a negative means adding the opposite, a positive. What is negative 8 plus positive 6? Negative 2. Now, is my decimal in the right location? It's invisible, but it's to the right of a digit that is between 1 and 9. 3 times 10 to the negative 2 is my final answer, and I'm done. Okay. So there's your number 23, A and B, on division with scientific notation. Let's move on and do a problem from yesterday's lesson on banking. This is a problem about compound interest. So this is the problem where you are allowed to use your calculator. This is the only problem you're going to use your calculator on. Please be on your honor to only use it for this problem. Thank you. Okay, now here it is. Number 21. We have a deposit of $5,000 into a 60-month CD. A CD is a form of a savings account. It's called a certificate of deposit. It's just a special savings account, and you're putting it in for 60 months. 5% interest is compounded annually when you deposit it into this CD, and we want to find the value of our money in that CD after 5 years. Now let's remember, this is compounded, so let's look at our compounding formula. The balance I have in my account with compound interest is the principal, the deposit, times 1 plus my rate of interest as a decimal, raised to the T years that I have it in the account. All right, now let's go ahead and fill in our values. $5,000 is my P value. It's my principal, my deposit. All right, now I'm going to take 1 and add to it the rate of interest. Let's go ahead and just do that all in one step. Now, rate of interest has to be a decimal number. Don't put a 5 in here. Don't tell me 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay? It's 5% as a decimal, which is 0.05. So I'm going to add the number 1 to 0.05, and I get 1.05. Now, how many years? 5 years. So let's go ahead, get out your calculator. Okay, make sure you can do this. And here's my calculator. I'm going to go ahead and enter 5,000, and then I'm going to hit my times key. There it is, 5,000 times. And then I have 1.05. Now, do you remember what to do next? I'm going to use the caret key right here, the little rooftop, raised to the 5th power. Okay, there's a lot of glare there, isn't there? Okay, I have, well, you can't see my 5 anymore, but it's 5,000 times 1.05 raised to the 5th power. Now go ahead and press your enter, and let's see what we get. Okay, so there's our answer. We're going to have to round it to the nearest penny, So I'm going to end up with $6,381 in the account, and I have a 407. Well, I'm going to round the 407. The 7 means I'm going to round up to 41 cents instead of staying at 40 cents. So here is the amount of money I'm going to have in that CD at the end of 5 years. Now look at that. Okay, I started with $5,000. I have made over $1,000 in interest by just putting it in that CD for 60 months, okay, which is 5 years. 60 divided by 12 months is 5 years, okay. So there is your compound interest formula. We use our calculator for those. Well, let me go ahead and give you the omissions for today. And we're going to omit number 8, number 11, number 14, number 15, number 17. You're going to like today. Okay. Number 18, number 20, number 22, and number 26. Okay. These are rather difficult problems. And I'm not there to help you with those, and I couldn't possibly cover this many things in Zoom. So I'm really focusing on the really key, important concepts that I really want you to know really well before you leave me in about 2.5 weeks. Okay, so let's review those one more time. 8, 11, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 22, and 26. This homework is due on Monday. Join me at Zoom today at 1 or 2 to get help on any of the other problems. And remember, Khan Academy, oh, just dropped that. Khan Academy is due Friday evening. It's on scientific notation and on slope, And what else? Test tomorrow. Watch the video for the test so you'll know what to do, okay? It's going to involve looking at a PDF and answering questions in LMS. So you probably haven't had anything like that before. Maybe, but probably not. Okay. All right. Well, have a blessed Wednesday, and I will be back with you during Zoom or tomorrow to explain the test this week. Okay? Have a blessed Wednesday. Bye-bye.